there existed a kingdom shrouded in a perpetually lumpy, gravy-like malaise. The dualistic nature of equal and opposite reflections caused a feedback loop-based hallucination in the bicameral mind of the people. They felt that they were living in the universe rather than being the universe. Its name was dystopia, a place where dreams collapsed into pools of liquid mercury that powered huge rectifiers attached to tall and noble antenna structures that broadcast a horrid and continual funeral dirge played by an unskilled piper. Hope was becoming a distant memory, as were any illusions of sanity. The lickspittle people of dystopia no longer considered themselves to be living, breathing animals at all. They no longer had any desire to mate or produce offspring. Instead, they lost themselves in symbolic gestures that would ultimately be remembered by no one as their bloodlines came to an end. Observe them close, for the love of mockery, if nothing else. Even though these choices made them substantially more discontented, melancholic, and sullen, they proclaimed to each other that they were in fact gallant heroes, fighting against thought crimes committed by their dead ancestors. They had all become the shadow of Don Quixote of La Mancha, lost in symbols, forgetting that the symbols were only tools for sharing ideas, and were not actually the ideas themselves. The markets of dystopia were filled with nothing but bobbleheads and mood-flattening drugs. The people, blinded by surface-level abstractions, were no longer capable of seeing beyond their in-group and out-group preferences, thinking, as they fantasized, that vengeance could arc towards justice rather than death. I think all of them a general offense. These milksops claim to have left the old higher power-based religions, but they had merely replaced them with a much worse religion, a religion based on intersectional conflicts of power between each other. It prevented them from the ability to see and understand nuanced ideas or even the ability to communicate. They were each individual gods in their minds, involved in endless conflict with each other. And then, to add fuel to the fire, they decided that optics were more important than substance. They were shivers waiting for a spine, and as sharp as marbles. They had hoped to create a preeminent sacrosanct authority, strong enough to apply a tyrannical boot to each other's throats. And in doing so, they could enforce the absolute equality afforded by the obliteration of individual identity. It would require everyone to monitor and report each other for any infraction, no matter how slight. It would require total and complete submission. Their idea of paradise was impossible to underestimate. Even the artist had given up. Instead of creativity, they worshipped the idea of becoming team players, supporting this corrupt agenda of a powerful elite. An elite who filled their heads with flattering lies and spare change. The vacuum of their character was exquisitely incomprehensible. It told them that they were noble and good for believing in nothing, and it worked. It told them that their inane ravings and scrawls were the true measure of beauty and meaning, for all were equal and no one thing was better than any other thing. It made art easy. But it was a Pyrrhic victory for all. In short, it was a load of pants. Once, dystopia had been a flawed, yet more vibrant kingdom, a melting pot of all cultures and individuals who were seen as equals under one creator. But that kingdom spiraled into hell as the power and authority was removed from local groups, pushed away, and then moved even further away, finally becoming concentrated into the hands of a remote, distant, disconnected 1% who could afford to exempt themselves from the madness they enforced, but not, as it turned out, to the ultimate coming bomb. Amidst this gloom, there lived a wise old owl named Aurelius. He loved Tootsie Roll Pops, and was once revered among the creatures of dystopia for his knowledge and foresight. Over the last decade, his intellectual outlook had been reclassified as problematic. One day, as he perched atop a dying oak tree, a young rabbit named Luna approached, her eyes filled with despair. "Oh, wise Aurelius," Luna said, "why has our kingdom fallen into such darkness? Is there no hope left for us?" Aurelius gazed at Luna with solemn eyes before responding. "Long ago our ancestors traded the beauty of our kingdom for avarice and pride. But all is not lost, young one. For even in the darkest of times, there exists a glimmer of light. For what does it profit to gain the world whole, yet lose the essence of one's very soul? They have blinded all from beauty and grace, and poisoned your hearts with this insect-like cultural embrace. Dear Luna, I will seek a solution." And with those words, Aurelius embarked on a journey across dystopia. He was seeking allies among the creatures of the land. It was disappointing to the owl that he had found none. He searched and explored, but no one was willing to stand up and help. He made loud noises, posted clever memes, but after a long journey and search, he settled on a branch and made peace with the idea that these people did not want to be saved. These insipid poltroons had no desire to live, nor any desire to be inspired. He flew back to his castle on Death Mori Mountain and turned to the fail-safe that he had prepared with the aid of the Sky People, who had come down to visit him long before the famous Tootsie Roll commercial had even been filmed. He suddenly developed an intense desire to be better strangers with these loblolly fools. They had come down in wheels within wheels made of light, and they had given him a great power called the bomb. He pulled the shoebox-sized bomb out from under his bed, and he placed it on the counter in his kitchen. He drank some mouse milk out of the fridge, and then approached the shoebox, removed the lid, and revealed the large green button inside. He reminisced briefly on the death of the Enlightenment. Aurelius made a long sweeping gesture with his wing, pronouncing the word 1, and then an upward swinging gesture and said 2, and then fluttered all his feathers with a mighty shake of his body and said 3. At that, he pushed the button, and the bomb worked its atomic magic, instantly converting the kingdom of dystopia, as well as a few hundred additional miles, into a sphere of thermonuclear energy, which reached an average uniform temperature of 212 million degrees Frankenstein. That temperature and pressure not only extinguished all life within the sphere, and by the former kingdom, it caused the complete and total disintegration of every molecule and atom within its blast radius. And so, the darkness that had gripped dystopia for so long receded, replaced by the warm glow of this new dawn. In the end, dystopia was transformed into a place of total harmony. A few 100 million years later, new mammals emerged. These rats became people. They formed a new city called Utopia. In Utopia, everything was free. The people got fat, and then were fed to the giant birds that ruled their world. There was no bomb to save the day this time. Thankfully, the nearby star that the rats called the sun provided a rich and relatively free energy gradient upon which life could surf. And even more mercifully, it was this same sun that gave its life to end the horror show of the bird and rat utopia. The sun's core had depleted its hydrogen fuel and had begun to burn its remaining helium, causing it to expand beyond and through the orbit of Earth, which was the stage upon which Utopia played. It became a red giant, and then unfolded like a flower, much like a female rat's nether regions, becoming a lovely planetary nebula. It was only after this transition that the best thing of all time happened. An Anunnaki mothership had flown close enough to appreciate the beauty of this nebula, and it inspired one of the Anunnaki children on board to reconstitute what had once been the solar system on which this all played out. Upon doing so, it was made that the great wise owl Aurelius was reborn. "To what purpose am I here?" asked the wise young owl. In answer to this, the Anunnaki child named Chris, who was responsible for all this mess, provided a reclining chair called a recliner. And he provided a 25-inch Zenith television with a Space Command remote control and a lovely oak frame. He also provided a Sony Betamax machine with a pre-recorded video that started to play as the owl took his comfortable seat. The video instructed him on what was expected. He was to enjoy something called the American Dream. He was told that he was a normal human child living in a place called the United States of America, and he lived in a year called 1977, a month called December. His job was to live a mortal life inside of this. His purpose, to observe and participate in the events that were to unfold before him. He would know nothing of his purpose beyond this, but would be rewarded with some manner of treat after his eventual death. "It'll be fine," the child told him, "but at times you will feel scared, alone, and hopeless." On a cheery note, before he left, Chris said, "I hope you like video games. It will help you pass the time as you watch things fall apart. Try to take notes. See if you can come up with any conclusions about all this mess right here." With that, the owl went to Sears, and he used the Sears credit card provided by the Chris to purchase a Sears Telegames video arcade system, and the game cartridges Air Sea Battle, Combat, Surround, and Video Olympics. He enjoyed it, and many future game systems. He lived until his and millions of other people's deaths from a series of bombs late in the year 2024. Up until the moment he died, Aurelius had still thought of himself as an owl, brought to Earth by the Chris to witness not only the beauty of the MOS Technologies 6502 microprocessor and all its following fruits, but also as a foundational part of this very story, and a signpost at the end of this tale to others. The signpost was made of wood and planted firmly into the ground. Around the post lay scattered a pile consisting of rocks of various sizes. It read, "Alan Watts was once an owl. He too was brought to this version of Earth by the Chris, in order to be mentioned in the next paragraph. Alan Watts said, 'The meaning of life is just to be alive.' It's so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everyone rushes around in a great panic, as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves." It was a long sign, and continued with a good deal of text. It went on, as these things do. It read, "That is to say, I look at the color of your hair, the shape of your eyebrow, and I understand that that is the point. God, Guru, and Self are one." And then, at the bottom of the sign, in bold letters, it read, "Do not throw rocks at this sign."